Today we are going to be talking about the 15 books that I have read so far this year. I know it's been a while since I filmed a monthly reading wrap-up, so without further ado, let's jump right in. Going in order from January to April, I did not start off the year strong. I honestly kind of regret reading this book, but I read it because it was our January book club book. This is The Partner Track by Helen Wan. It's actually got turned into a Netflix series, but a few of my friends told me that the show is nothing like the book, except the main character is the same. Honestly, I did not enjoy this. It dragged pretty much for me the whole time, except it picked up the last 75 pages. The main character in here, she is a lawyer, so you get a lot of the corporate America office politics, and there's a lot of lawyery jargon in here. I rated it 3 stars. Then the next 2 books I read, you guys actually saw me read this one. I have a reading vlog up on my YouTube channel. I will link it up here if you guys are interested, but I started reading the Twilight series, and this series has been on my TBR for years, and I finally went ahead and read it this year. I rated the first book 5 stars. It was everything I hoped it would be. And then I read the second book, and I bought these used, so this is the only book where I don't have the dust cover on it. But I read New Moon after that, and this put me in a book slump. Honestly, I think if you're gonna read these, the movies are just as good. The movies follow the plot lines of the books very well, except for when you get to Breaking Dawn, which is the last book. And I just think if you're gonna read New Moon, you can just watch the movie because this put me in a book slump, and it was just basically Bella being depressed the whole time. I rated this book 2 stars. And then after that, I was like, I need to take a Twilight break. So I actually read the Inheritance Games series. I loved these books. I read them on my Kindle. I think I read all of them in one sitting each. They were so good. I rated all of them 5 stars. I think these were very fast paced. The chapters were short. There is a little love triangle in here with the main characters. There's a lot of riddles and puzzles and stuff, and you're just trying to figure out the mystery as you go through each book. I love them so much. I actually saw a TikTok recently that they are going to be turning this into a TV show, and I'm really excited. So I think if you guys have seen this book on TikTok and stuff and you haven't read it yet, and maybe you're in a slump, this brought me out of my slump. I also want to point out there needs to be justice for Grayson. The 4th book is actually coming out in the fall, I think. That's called The Brothers Hawthorne, and I'm very excited to read that one. After I read the Inheritance Games, I was like, I really just need to finish this series, so I read the next 2 Twilight books, Eclipse and Breaking Dawn. I rated Eclipse 3 stars, and I remember this one took me a while to finish. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of the second and the third movies. I went ahead and watched the movies after I read each book as a little reward. I think if you're Team Jacob, I could see why people are Team Jacob after reading Eclipse. And then I read the last book, which... Chef's Kiss, although I was disappointed in the end because if you've seen the movie and you read the book, the endings are they're not different, but how everything goes down is a lot different. And I didn't know that it was different in the book because all of the movies I feel followed the plot of each book so well, so I was kind of surprised. But I think what they did in the movie makes a lot more sense because they had to make it more action-packed, but it was just missing that little oomph for me in the end, so I rated it 4.75 stars. But I think overall for the whole series, I would say I actually rated them on my Bookstagram if you guys want to go check that out. I liked Twilight the best. Second best would be Breaking Dawn, then Eclipse, and then last would definitely be New Moon. I have not read the Midnight Sun book, which is the extra book at the end, which is all basically from Edward's point of view. So I think eventually I want to get to that, but I'm not in a rush to read it. So I'm definitely glad that I read all of these, but happy that it's over with. And I feel like I'm rambling right now, but I think if I had read them when I was in middle school, when they were in their prime, I would have enjoyed them a lot more. But as a 27-year-old, I have read better fantasy romance books. And then after I read Twilight, I just had no idea what I wanted to read. I kind of needed a palate cleanser, I guess. So I decided to pick this one up. This is called The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. And I rated this 4.75 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think the plot of this book is so unique. So basically you're following this one main character She commits suicide and she goes to like this in-between place where she is between life and death, which is called the Midnight Library. And in this library there are a ton of books that hold like every single little possibility of if she had made certain choices in her life. So basically she gets to live out all of these different like alternate realities to see like what would have happened if she made certain choices in her life. I think the premise was really good. I think the overall message was really good, and it definitely makes you think. Next, I read another book series. I finally read these. I've had this book on my list for so long, and I'm so happy that I did because I rated this book 5 stars. I read the It Ends With Us series. I do have a spoiler-free reading vlog of this on my channel. I will link it up here if you guys want to go check it out, but I read this one, and I also read It Starts With Us on my Kindle. I rented it through the library. But I definitely think these live up to the hype if you have not read them yet. It's a very sensitive topic, so definitely make sure you check the trigger warnings. And they're also going to be coming out with a movie starring Blake Lively in it. If you guys want to know more of my thoughts on both of those, I, again, will link the video up here so you guys can go see it. But I think It Starts With Us is like my new favorite Colleen Hoover book. I know there are mixed reviews on it. Some people love it, some people hate it, but personally, I really enjoyed it, and I basically read these in one sitting. They were so good. After the Colleen Hoover books, I read our book club book for April, and I don't have a physical copy of this because I read it through my Libby app on my Kindle, but I read Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I loved it. I rated this 5 stars. Like, this book really surprised me because I feel like normally I wouldn't have picked it up. It's a sci-fi book. It was very high stakes. The creativity of this book and just like the science that's in it was so impressive. Like I loved it. I loved everything about it, but I will say like this is not a book for everybody. A lot of the girls in my book club book just did not enjoy it because it's very heavy on the science jargon, but I did recommend it to my brother. I actually bought him a copy for his birthday and sent it to him, and I recommended it to one of my coworkers at work, and she just finished it and she loved it. So take it with a grain of salt, but basically you are following our main character. His name is Ryland. He is an astronaut. The book starts off him waking up out of a coma. He's been asleep for like 4 years in the middle of space, and he has no idea what's going on. Basically, he figures out along the way that he is tasked with this mission to save Earth. I loved his character. He's very sarcastic. I just imagined him being like Mark Wahlberg the entire time. So I feel like that kind of tells you everything you need to know going into it. But definitely not for everybody because the science jargon is a lot, and there's a lot of like physics and stuff in it because it is space. I will say this author is also the same author that wrote The Martian, if you have seen that movie, and it's very similar to Interstellar too, if you've seen that. So the next couple of books that I read were actually books that I started at the beginning of the year and have just now finished. This was a devotional that I started in January. It's 100 devotionals. This is by Sadie Robertson Huff, which I love her so much, you guys. She is like a role model for me. I love everything that she puts out. This is Live on Purpose 100 Devotions for Letting Go of Fear and Following God. I did it every single day and I journaled along with it the whole time, and just her writing is incredible, and just the way that she speaks, like she really has a God-given gift, and I really enjoyed it every single day when I would do this in journal. Like it was just so applicable to what I had gone through that day, or like things that I've been dealing with and feeling in like my personal life. And I just think it's incredible. I would recommend this to everybody. The next kind of, it's not really a book. This is a Bible study I just finished with a group of girls at my church. This is Get Out of Your Head by Jenny Allen. This is the Bible study version, like I said, but she does have like an actual book you can go through and read as well if you don't want to do the Bible study. Basically, the study is about spiraling toxic thoughts and like how to get out of those negative thought patterns. And the principles in here are really basic, but I think she has a lot of really great mind maps and like grid exercises and stuff you can do where she has you like think about what your thought life is and what common thoughts you have, and writing them down and breaking them down and using scripture to identify like what's truth versus like what's a lie. and I think it's really helpful and applicable, and she makes it easy to understand, and I'm definitely going to try to use some of the tools in here going forward. Then moving into the last book that I have fully read this year, I'm actually reading Six of Crows right now, and I will talk about this a little bit, but I was waiting for this book to come in the mail because I finished season 2 of Shadow and Bone. If you've not watched the show on Netflix, it's very good. Those are also based on books, and the crew in Six of Crows is actually in the show, and this is like their spin-off book. So after I finished the show, I was like, well, I've had this on my list forever, and this is the perfect time for me to read it because I'm in the mood. But I was in this weird limbo where I just finished Project Hail Mary, and I ordered those on Amazon. I was waiting for them to come, and I had like 2 days where I was like, okay, I just want to read something quick and easy and maybe like a palate cleanser. So I downloaded this on my Kindle. This is a short story called Evidence of the Affair by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think you can only get this on Amazon. I love the cover. I think it is beautiful. I'll put a photo on the screen so you guys can see, because I feel like when you look at the Kindle, you can't really see the covers that well. I did not like this. I rated it 2 stars. I didn't get what the point of it was. It's basically a short story filled with letters that go back and forth between this woman and this man, and basically they are in the crossfire of like their spouses' affairs with one another, and it's a big like cheating trope, and I just didn't really like it. It's only 80 pages, so it was very fast to read. Currently I'm reading Six of Crows, and it's interesting so far. I feel like it is a little slower for me, and the font is like so small, so I feel like it's taking me longer to read, but I think I'm to the point now where the plot is really gonna start picking up, and I just love Kaz and Inej, okay? And it's just been fun to like see the differences in their characters in the book versus in the show, and I get to like imagine them in my head as they look in the show, because I think they did really good casting for the different characters in the crew. So that is everything that I have read so far this year. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I'm not really sure how I feel so far. I feel like I need to read better books, so if you guys have any book recommendations, definitely comment them down below. But I hope that you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe below if you are new here. I hope that you guys are having a great day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.